some bad news. I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Don't count me down, you piece of shit. Shut your mouth. Look at me, Tony. Look at me. I want you to fire me. You fucking Mark. Fire me. Fire me. How you think they gonna feel when they introduce your boys as the new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions? I don't know, Ooze. They might be cheering. Yeah. They might be booing. Yeah. Little kids might be crying. Oh, yeah. We got grown men out there crying. Yeah. But they still might be hating on the Usos. Hating on us. Why? Because we went out there and did what we said we was going to do. Yeah.
Buffalo, all your babbling is interfering with my machine. So for the next few minutes, please just do me a favor and kindly shoot.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 333 of the Hoots podcast. It's Thursday, October 27, 2022. Coming to you live from the windiest of all cities, Chicago, Illinois. Is yours truly, the nefarious Brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. Hope you guys are enjoying your week so far. It's going to be a different vibe for the Hoots podcast this week as Bret Hart is not here. Bret Hart is off in Austin, Texas to celebrate the wedding of his brother Scott, and it's a pretty cool deal, and I want to send our congratulations to Scott and his lovely wife. So pretty cool deal. Hopefully we can get Bret Hart back in the show next week. I'll keep you guys updated as far as that's concerned. But anyways, you can follow me on Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to check out the podcast. Every single week drops a new episode, drops you free of charge on Thursday, whether it's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Josh Lopez Media. Check out the Hoots Podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast from. And you also can check out my transcripts if you like at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. It's going to be a different vibe. It's going to be a different episode. We're not going to have as many segments as we usually do. I'm kind of curious to see how this episode is going to go. It's going to be more of a personal Q&A and mental health type of episode this week. And then we'll get back into business the following week. But don't fret. Don't fret. Our main event segment will go down today. I do have a new What the Hell is Wrong with AEW for you guys. So you guys are not missing out on that for sure. You can't have a Hoots podcast without What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, right? So I got like 40 questions to answer here. I got questions from Chris, Sam, Nate, and Mike, who did a fantastic job this week sending questions. I'm really looking forward to answer these. And it should be a fun experience. So it should be a good time. As always, I just want to say, as always, I'm very appreciative, and I don't take for granted the fact that people do take the time to check out the show in the weekly times we do this and contribute and send their feedback. It means a lot to me because sometimes, even for myself who's been doing like wrestling content work for almost a decade now, I even ask myself, why does anybody give two shits what I have to say about this wacky world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it? But I don't take that for granted. It really means a lot to me. And I just want to do right by you. And you're going to get to say Joshie from episode 1 to whenever we do the last episode, which is not anytime soon. So I just want to say, again, I'm very appreciative and grateful for all of you who've been supporting this podcast. It really means a lot to me. So let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into the back porch Q&A session, as we usually do on the podcast. As always, if you ever want to contribute to the segment, all you have to do is send me a question at the Hoots Podcast at Twitter or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. Let's start off as we usually do. Start with the X. For our good brother Chris Zaletta, X Team Zaletta24X on Twitter. He says, "What up, Boost? Here's the question for the Q&A this week. World Series, Phillies or Astros? Man, I'll go with the Phillies. I'm sorry, Mike. It is what it is. I know a lot of people in Houston get salty when people bring up the fact that Houston are filled with cheaters. This is what it is. I just got to call a spade a spade. I'm going to rock with the Phillies only for my guys, Anthony DeStefano. And suddenly I found out my guy, Brandon DeJesus, is a Philly fan too. I didn't know that. But shout out to him. He's a good brother as well. So I'm going to go with the Phillies. Just something different. I'm so tired of the Astros. It's really something when you get bored of a team and then they also have a shady past. It's like it's not good. So sorry, Dusty, you're going to miss out on another World Series. I'm going to go with the Phillies to win this one. It's been an interesting series, and hopefully Kyle Schwarber and you get another ring outside of the Cubs because the Cubs stink. No, I'm kidding. Or am I? All right, let's get to the next question. Who do you think the OC gets to handle? Who do you think the OC gets to handle the rear problem? Not gonna lie, it'd be cool crossover to see Jordan Grace show up. It'd be pretty cool. I don't know what the working relationship is outside of what happened with Mickie James at the Royal Rumble this previous year. I wouldn't mind seeing Jordan Grace because she is a badass. She's the real deal. You know what? I don't know if it would work. It's not enough dialogue, and they haven't really turned her into a baby face. She hasn't been on TV recently, so I don't know whether she's injured or not. I kind of wondered whether Piper Niven or Dewdrop would come in and go after Rhea Ripley. They have a history in NXT UK. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if anybody would be interested in that. It's a name I'll throw out there. Maybe Alexa Bliss goes after Rhea Ripley. God knows what else. Hey, OC all has these Bullet Club ties. Why wouldn't Asuka go after Rhea Ripley? Just throwing it out there. Now, does Asuka throw up the two sweets? Who knows? Well, by the way, it's 2022. Why is Bullet Club still a thing? I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I haven't picked three people. It'll probably be Piper Niven, Alexa Bliss, or Asuka. Thoughts on Ava Raine in Schism. Thoughts on GYV's current characters. This is a touchy subject for some people for whatever reason. Look, I always say, speak for yourself. One thing I'm not going to come here and tell you is tell you how to feel about a group. If you don't like a group, that's cool. The only time I ever go back and question a take or something is if I find it to be melded in, kind of bullshit and kind of if I see a take that's more trying to get clicks and retweets and likes and stuff like that, and there's no substance to it, and I can just call out the bullshit in the take, then I'll respond to something like that. But when it comes in nature and in general discussion with wrestling, if you like something and I don't like, cool. For example, if you are a fan of Orange Cassidy, I'm not into Pockets. If you're a fan of Dan Clonson, again, that's not for me. But I'm not going to tell you how to feel about that. But it seems like this weird thing with Joe Gacy and NXT, where it's because some people on Twitter, and still in 2022, people think that Twitter is the end-all, be-all of what's over or not in professional wrestling. I just think it's kind of odd to me. As far as Ava Raine's concerned, I'd like to reveal. I don't know much about her. Obviously, Dum, yeah, anybody can acknowledge the fact that she's The Rock's daughter. But again, I think no journey in professional wrestling is linear. And I don't think with this fickle nature of the echo chamber, if you will, can really sit there and say with a straight face that they wouldn't be like, oh, look, they're going to try to force feed her to be just exactly like The Rock. But now she's doing something different, and then that's a problem. like, where did we get to the point in wrestling now where heels are good at being heels? You're not supposed to like heels or have sympathetic babyface traits towards heels. It's like a reverse psychology that we're going through with wrestling discussions these days, where the heels are now the baby faces and the baby faces are heels. Like, it's one thing for us to say that wrestling companies try to overcomplicate booking and all this stuff. Well, us as fans talk in so many different circles and do so many different mental gymnastics. I find it to be funny now. Like, back in the day, I'd be like, yo, like, why are you wasting your time? Like, you know, I would get more engaged with it. But now it's like, I kind of feel bad for people. Like, you're overcomplicating things. Like, Joe Gacy's the heel. You're not supposed to like him. You're not supposed to like heel factions. Not every heel faction has to be the NWO or the Four Horsemen. You don't have to like a group. So if that gets the heat directed towards her and it works, then job well done. I've been a big fan of the Grizzly Young Veterans. Am I bummed that they're now Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed? No. I'm glad that they're getting TV time, because when they were GYV and NXT for whatever reason, you couldn't find them on the show. There'd be like 5 or 6 weeks before we see a GYV match, and then if they get a title shot, they lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. So I can understand why they're in this group with Joe Gacy. I like GYV, but for whatever reason, and nobody's asked Shawn Michaels this question, why Rip and Jagger had to switch their gimmicks. That's an interesting question, because Zach Giss is a tremendous promo. He really is. I've always enjoyed his work. The whole thing with the fans in the UK chanting, if you hate Gibson, take your shoes off, the whole bit. I've always been into that. But again, it's like to remind people, like, you don't have to like heel factions. Like, if you don't like Austin Theory because he's a bad guy, he's arrogant and rude, that's the point. Or Baron Corbin because he has JBL now speaking for him. That's the point. They're heels. You're not supposed to like them. Let's go to the next question. Thoughts on Booker T's commentary in NXT? Pretty good so far. I did pop when Vic Joseph mentioned what was this in White Snow or something like that. They're one of the matches that popped me because there's popular YouTube clips where you hear like Booker T's commentary in TNA before he came back to WWE. It's just hilarious. Everybody talks about the bit where he starts doing like commentary while he's beating people up in the ring. He's beating up Xavier Woods. Oh, look at I got Xavier Woods here. Gonna give him that big old dress cake. And he's like, he's complimenting Charmel. He's like, sop her up like a biscuit. That's like silly shit like that, you know. And it was funny. It was funny. I kind of appreciated Booker T over the years. Commentary wise, he's hit and miss some other times too. The whole Fave 5 thing, shucky ducky quack quack, and a lot of the early seasons when Booker T was doing commentary in WWE was pretty funny with Michael Cole. You know, I had a dream that you died. It's just Booker T's a trip, man. Speaking of trips, man, can we just all like give a big round of applause for R-Truth this week? Oh my God, man. R-Truth has been killing it this week, man. Holy shit. R-Truth is a national treasure. I don't know what it is. First off, the guy never ages. Every time he comes out, you would think like, oh, great, here's another comedy. You gotta stroke my shoulders, whatever. Dude's fucking naturally hilarious. It's just tremendous of how good R-Truth is at being an entertainer, a wrestler. Definitely first ballot Hall of Famer, no questions asked. By the way, and I do agree with this, R-Truth will have the greatest Hall of Fame speech of all time. That'll definitely happen. All right. Next question. Do you think Kevin Patrick will last at the Raw desk? I don't. And this is unfortunate because I've liked Kevin. I think he's done a lot of good stuff backstage with the backstage interviews, and he's okay, I guess, with the kickoff panels. But look, this issue with Kevin Patrick is not exclusively towards him. It's the Wolf in general, and it's been an issue going on with this Raw show for the last 4 or 5 years, regardless whether it's Vince McMahon running the show or Triple H running the show. Just in general, commentary on Monday Night Raw, ever since Michael Cole left to Fox, has been the utter shits. Whether it's Tom Phillips, Adam Adverk, Jimmy Smith, Tom Phillips, it doesn't matter. The booth sucks. Byron Saxton overstood his welcome in his run in that 3-man booth. Corey Graves, somehow, when he got his opportunity to be the main guy at Raw in 2017, is now regressed to the means where I mentioned here, like, yeah, it kind of comes off like JBL 2.0, blah, 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 blah. But it's even worse now. Like, I don't even think, like, I'm listening to Corey Graves call matches anymore or calling the show. It's so over the top. It's so annoying. The constant need to bicker and correct and be snarky, and it's like, it's not even good. Like, you know why Bobby Heenan was applauded for those type of things? Because he's naturally good at those things. Or Jerry Lawler during the Attitude Era. That stuff was good. But again, that was almost 30, 40 years ago. The style in whatever it is to call heel or color commentary on Monday Night Raw has been passe. It's not good. You can't have a play-by-play guy that gets you engaged for 3 hours, and you have heel commentators who are just over-talking and won't let the play-by-play people do their jobs. So, again, it's not a personal slight towards Kevin because he has a Scottish accent right there. I really don't give a shit. JR, the greatest announcer of all time, Jim Ross, the greatest announcer of all time, is a hick. He's from Oklahoma. He's a hick. He has an accent too. But here's the difference. He got you engaged in the show. It doesn't matter what accent. He's good at his job. Andy Shepherd, a guy that I liked a lot in NXT UK. Again, he has a UK accent. He's good at his job. You need people to narrate and get you through the stories. And as much as we talk about booking and blah, 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 all this ancillary shit and these type of wrestling talk shows, again, you're going to have confusion and questions about where things are going with storyline-wise when your narrators throughout the 3-hour broadcast are not doing their job correctly or keeping you engaged when something odd happens. For example, Nikki Cross's return on Monday, which I thought was a pretty cool moment for her, and I'm glad that she's not doing the superhero gimmick anymore. She comes out, and these two freaking twats are going back and forth bickering like 5-year-old kids. Oh, that's Nikki Cross. Oh, that is Nikki Cross. Who the fuck does flying cross body blocks to the outside than Nikki Cross? At that size. Try to pass off as if Nikki Cross has been on our TV screen for the last 4 or 5 years, acting like she's come back from some miraculous injury. Like, it was embarrassing those last couple months before Raw went off air. Especially on Corey Graves' part, where it almost took away from the moment of Nikki Cross being there. There's times where you just need to, if your commentators are not competent enough to have a proper reaction that fits the moment of a match or a brawl or whatever, have them lay out and don't say a fucking thing. That's the thing with AEW too. Like, I love Taz. Big fan of his. Respect his work as a wrestler and a commentator as a person. But especially on AEW recently, since he's now become more of a feature player on Dynamite. Dude, man, I don't need to hear you fucking talk every 25 seconds. The back and forth cutting off of Shivani. I know Shivani doesn't say anything worth a shit, but it's not good, man. Commentary when it comes to U.S. television across all the promotions is piss poor. It's very rare you have very good play-by-play people. My only exceptions I could say is Kevin Kelly, Ian Riccaboni. I think Joe Galley does a good job on NWA, but that's it. Play-by-play across the entire landscape in wrestling is not good. And especially since Triple H has taken over WWE, the glaring issue has been even more exposed of how bad that booth is on Monday Night Raw. People could come up with any other conspiracy theories as to why Raw isn't this or why Raw isn't like it was in the 90s. Again, you know why the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era was fun? Because JR and the King kept you interested in the show no matter how long it was or if something stupid went down. This is the facts. Let's get to the next question. Do you think we get Evolution 2 next year as a pay-per-view? Maybe. I haven't really thought about that, Chris, to be honest with you. I'm not opposed to the idea, but it didn't draw. It drew out at Nassau Coliseum. Yeah, it was a sold-out bet. I think it's a good idea to do it, but when it came to pay-per-view buys, it didn't draw the way people thought it was going to. Whether that's the reason to not do it, I don't agree with that. I think you should have a all-women's pay-per-view. I think it's a good idea. I just don't know when it's going to happen. It's been almost 4 years, you know. I don't know if we're going to get another one. I had to see it to believe it. That's the way I'm looking at it, Chris. But it's a good question. I don't know when they're going to do another one. Will WWE move away from some of the gimmick pay-per-views? I think so. I saw the thing on Twitter where it looks like they're scrapping the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And if that's the case, I'm glad that I went to the last one and I got to see the best Hell in a Cell match in probably the pay-per-view's history. So, yeah, I think they're probably scrapping it away with it. Well, that's the thing. How are you scrapping gimmick pay-per-views, but you're still doing the Royal Rumble and Survivor Series, which are gimmick matches? Isn't the Royal Rumble a gimmick pay-per-view? We got 2 Royal Rumble matches. Survivor Series now is going to be a War Games type of deal. Now, if it's just like TLC or Money in the Bank or Hell in a Cell, stuff like that, if that's being scrapped away, or Elimination Chamber, cool. I don't have an issue with that. But not to be technical or whatever, I mean, Royal Rumble, in a sense, is a gimmick. The Royal Rumble, you have 2 matches, a man and woman get a chance to main event WrestleMania. Unless Twitter throws the hissy fit, then we got to have a fucking triple threat match at the pay-per-view. But you get my point. Oh, man. All right. Who do you think is behind the cryptic phone message from this past NXT? That's a good question. I saw that little vignette on Tuesday. I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's called Scripts, right? That's what it was called. You know what? I have to be honest with you guys. It's me. I'm behind Scripts. I had a long conversation with the people down in NXT. Just be on the lookout. That's all I can say at this moment. No, okay. Yeah, I'm Scripts. Transcripts, but not scripts. But I popped myself to it. All right, I gotta stop. I got no idea. I really don't. I don't. That's a good question. I mean, I gotta think about who hasn't been on the shows for a while, stuff like that. Is this linked to the White 16? I don't know. Would it be funny just for Austin Theory just to troll people, have him be the one that scripts or whatever? I think that'd be interesting. That's just me. Who knows? It could be someone from NXT UK, maybe somebody we haven't seen in a while. You know, the last time they did kind of like these like aerial shot type of promos and stuff like that. I think it was like Ember Moon was the one that made her return. I wonder if it was Bobby Roode made his way back to NXT. I wonder if that's going to happen. It's a good question, Chris. I have no idea. I have to see how that one plays out. Does Jay White ever step foot in WWE? I'm starting to think eventually someday. I certainly think so. I just think it has to come in with timing and a good time. Like where his landscape works, how things are going in New Japan, you know. I don't know if Jay White will become a frequent, you know, guy that appears on AEW, because even when he showed up in AEW, did he feel the same way as you do when you see Jay White in New Japan? Something was off. And you can call it hate or whatever. I'm just being honest. When I saw Jay White make those appearances with the Elite or whatever in AEW, it didn't look right. Like he felt like the fifth guy. And when it came to the importance, like the fifth whatever phrase you want to use, like he didn't matter in the long run. And I don't know what Jay White looks like in WWE. But I tell you, I think he has a better opportunity to do some more damage in WWE than he would in AEW. I get more of a vibe for how AJ Styles was carrying himself before he came to WWE with Jay White, and I think it could work. Next question. If New Japan and WWE did a supercard, what would your match card look like? Good question there, my man. All right, let's start off with this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to do Bray Wyatt and Evil, and Bray Wyatt finally puts a fucking end to the House of Torture. Let's start off with that, all right? Let's start off hot. Okay, we'll have Tetsuya Naito fight Seth Rollins, okay? I got Jay White. You know, Jay White will come in, and Jay White will have a match with Kevin Owens. I can see that happening for sure. We'll do Okada versus Roman Reigns. We'll do Hiroshi Tanahashi against Randy Orton. Let's throw that in the mix as well. Let's have Shingo. This is a match that I really want to see. Let's do Shingo Takagi against Drew McIntyre. I think that'll be a barn burner. Let's do Shingo and Drew. They beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. I'm here for it. Will Ospreay. let's give one for the marks. Let's do Ricochet and Will Ospreay in a tumbling fuck fest. Let's see how that looks with a bigger production attached to it. Why not? Let's see. I do maybe. Oh, how about this? Let's do Killer Cross against Ishii. I want to see that match. I think that'd be good, and then we could do. Let's do Minoru Suzuki. Do we do it? All right. Fuck it. Let's do it. Minoru Suzuki against Riddle. Let's do it. Suzuki against Riddle. There you go. That's my matches. Booking with Josh. There you go. There's my card if you have to ask me for those matches, but I like that one. Ooh. Who do you think gets possibly moved around the NFL trade deadline, as we have seen some moves made over the last week? Okay. It's up there. I as far as teams, I think they probably are going to try to make a move. I can see maybe Buffalo trying to get into one more like trade. I know the Eagles got Robert Quinn yesterday as I'm recording this, so I want to say a big shout out to Rob Quinn who had a really good run here with the Bears. So I'm happy for him that he gets to go out into a winning team. So that's my thoughts on that really quick. I know there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about Chase Claypool. This is what I'm going to say here, and people may be offended, but I really don't give a shit. It doesn't matter who you bring in, whether it's Odell Beckham Jr., A.J. Green, Chase Claypool, or whoever. The Packers are not going to do shit. One receiver is not going to fix what's wrong with the Green Bay Packers. They are by far the most overrated team in the NFL today. It's not close. They suck as a team. They're not good. You're seeing regression with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I could poke fun with the whole ayahuasca stuff and him popping up on the McAfee show all the time. But honestly, at the end of the day, I got to call a spade a spade. The Packers are not it this year. They are overrated. Earlier, a few weeks ago, I did like a football preview show with Sam and Pat. And I said that the 49ers were going to be a team that was going to miss the playoffs, right? I have to say maybe I'm wrong now since they got Christian McCaffrey, but I've never been more certain in my life that the Packers, A, will not win the division this year, but B, there's a good chance they don't even make the playoffs this year. I'm very confident in saying that right now. But as I say that, knowing that the referees will be in their back pocket, instead of a blowout on Sunday Night Football, the refs are going to keep the Packers in the game. Just watch. I'll say this. I hope, just for selfish reasons, I like to see Mitch get traded somewhere. I don't know. Where it's a winner where it could be a backup or something like that. I just like to see Mitch get traded out of Pittsburgh because I think they did him wrong. Mike Tomlin always talks about, we don't live in our fears, and he doesn't let the crowd dictate what he does. Yet, they not even 4 weeks into the season, he goes with Kenny Pickett, and the guy has 1 touchdown and 7 picks ever since he became the starter. I'm not going to rip the guy. I get it. Rookies have their own struggles and stuff like that. I have nothing against Kenny, but I think Mitch got a raw deal here, in Pittsburgh, and they're kind of suffering from that. It's kind of crazy. The 2 wins that Pittsburgh has this year so far this season are because of Mitch Trubisky. So I feel bad for the brother. Hopefully he can find somewhere else and, get a chance to do it properly. It's crazy when you look at the Steelers when Mitch came into the team. I thought it would be a good scenario for him, but I didn't really put it to mind that the Steelers have been kind of like middling around over the last couple of seasons, and they had kind of like a feel like the Bulls during the Garth Pax years where they just were like complacent and being loyal to certain people that should have been off the team for a long time and just like okay with being 8-8. I didn't really put it to mind that the Steelers were just going to be a middling football team. I guess I was wrong, and maybe Mitch was wrong for picking the Pittsburgh in free agency, but I like to see Mitch get traded somewhere. Maybe he can go to the Giants or something. I'm kind of curious to see how this weekend goes because we have a week. We do have games coming up on Sunday. I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but you never know what happens. So we'll have to see how these trades go on. And the trade deadline's on Tuesday, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting. I'll just tell you this. It doesn't matter who comes to the Packers. They ain't shit. They're not. Thank you, Chris, for the questions this week, man. I appreciate you, my brother. All right. We're going to go to the next set of questions here from my good brother, Sam Piopo, my main man at Second Six. Sam, what's up, my man? It says questions for the show. Top 3 best Intercontinental champions of all time. Number one, I think just the standard of being an Intercontinental Champion is Bret Hart. 2, The Miz. And 3, begrudgingly, Bret Michaels, Chris Jericho. I think Bret had just the standard of what that time meant back in the day, and just the quality of work they did, especially with Mr. Perfect. Go back and watch that 1991 SummerSlam match that they had at the Garden, which was phenomenal. Bret, I think, is one of the best. He is, in my opinion, the best Intercontinental Champion. 2, I'm going to go with The Miz just for the number of reigns he's had and the quality of his title reigns. And then 3, I got to go with Jericho because he's had a lot of successful title reigns too, even though I could give 2 shits what he's doing now on AEW. But we'll get to that later on. All right, let's get to the next question here. Who is your favorite tag teams of all time? Dudley Boys are my favorite tag team of all time. I gotta throw out the New Day and the Usos just from over the years and appreciate their work. Just looking at teams back then, I was a big fan of the Hart Foundation. Hardy Boys, can't be remiss without mentioning them. I think I said Edge and Christian, right? Over the years, you look at teams for TNA. I've always been a fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. If you want to pick out a team for Ring of Honor, I could say maybe the American Wolves. That's a good question. I've been kind of 50-50 with tag team wrestling. Now, I don't want people to start calling me Vince McMahon and say that I don't care about tag team wrestling. I appreciate tag team wrestling. I just don't appreciate fucking tag team matches that look like a fucking labyrinth and I can't process it because they're making the referees look stupid the entire match. But I appreciate the art of tag team wrestling. I just appreciate more good tag team wrestling and good tag teams. Like I can't put over the Bucks of Youth, the Hardy Boys. I can't do it. I just can't do it within myself. I can't. They assault my intelligence so much. I just cannot do it when it comes to their tag team matches. Number 3, would you like to see Triple H get rid of the gimmick periods? Which of the classic pay-per-view names would you most like to bring back? Yeah, like I mentioned with Chris's question, if you want to scrap out like Elimination Chamber or TLC, I'm fine with that. Honestly, the 2 pay-per-views that I would bring back, maybe 3, sad that I would bring back is either No Way Out, Unforgiven, and Armageddon. Those probably be the 3 ones I would bring back. You don't have to bring back Judgment Day because the Judgment Day are here. Even though Judgment Day, very good faction. Even though we're not doing this week in WWE, I do want to give a big nod to Judgment Day because they've been killing it on TV recently. So if I had to bring back 3 classics, it's definitely No Way Out, Unforgiven, or Armageddon. All right. Number 4, do you think WWE should do another All-Woods preview? Yes. Yep. If you had to give Matt Eberflus a grade halfway through his first season as head coach, what would be your grade and why? Good question here. I'm going to go with a B-, and I think I'm being fair with that. From what I've seen, as far as like press conferences are concerned, I gotta say that for him, he's been very consistent with his messaging, and I can appreciate that. Now, as I say that, John Fox was very consistent with his approach and how he wanted things to go, and we saw how that worked out. Now, I am not going to put that bad juju out there. I'm not saying that Matt Eberflus is the second coming of John Fox or anything like that, but what I liked about Matt Eberflus and how he carries himself is the fact that, yeah, he speaks for his mind. He's consistent in what he wants to, and you can see on the games and how the players talk about him that his messaging is carrying through. It's not just word salad like the previous guy that we got to deal with, or messaging that makes your eye roll like Mark Trestman. So I think B- is a fair assessment. The team is 3-4 right now. is there a couple things, if you look at the previous games, that you could question as far as game time decisions and stuff like that? Sure. But just thinking about how the team's constructed right now with what was left over from the previous regime, I'll be honest with you, Sam, I've been more than impressed than I was expected to be at this point. Not only with Matt, but as far as the team's concerned. Honestly, did anybody think by week 7 that we're going to have 3 victories? Like, we heard everybody and their mother say that the Bears are going to be like 3-14 and 2-15, something like that. And that just hasn't been the case. So I've been really, really impressed by Matt Eberflus so far. So I think I'm being fair here in the middle part of the season and saying a B-. So good stuff on Matt so far. And I'm just glad that he is a coach that's actually a coach. It's very rare to have that feel in Chicago, regardless of which team that we support. Next question. How would you handle David Montgomery, considering this is his last year under his rookie deal? Would you bring him back? Yeah, that's a tricky question. I've been a big fan of David Montgomery. I feel like his reputation or ways people look at him and his value has been hindered a lot by Matt Nagy. Now, there's been a couple of injuries that have come and played them over the last couple of years. And I don't blame that for them. That's just the nature of the sport. But Montgomery's brought a lot of good things to the team from his production point of view. When I look back at that 2020 season when Mitch got benched for Nick Foles, which was a fucking stupid decision looking back at it in hindsight, because it was because of him they made the playoffs that year. But Montgomery played a big part of that too. And Montgomery was having a really good sophomore year. And then, last year happened, and here we are now in 2022, and the Bears, I think they are ranked number 1 as far as rushing is concerned. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit there. I know he had the knee injury that he suffered in the Texas game, but ever since he came back, I think he's done some good things. So it's hard, man. It really is. This is the sucky part about the business side of football. Now, are you asking me, would I give David Montgomery a max contract? Probably not. But would I be opposed to giving him the franchise tag? No. Bears have money to play with. Now, you have Khalil Herbert, who's done a really good, admirable job. I don't know if I'll say that I would put him above Montgomery as far as number 1 running back, but that's just me. I haven't seen enough for Treston Edmonds to say that, hey, we got to just toss Montgomery and trade him or whatever. I don't know what Edner is outside of a special teams player, So I like Montgomery. Would I bring him back on a max contract? No. But I don't think his reputation has been fairly analyzed, if you will, just due to the fact of shitty coaching. Honestly, David Montgomery, out of anybody during the Matt Nagy era that was affected the most, is David Montgomery. And it's not even close. And I kind of feel bad for him. What was that quote that Nagy had one time? He's like, I'm not here to run out of the I formation or whatever. Like, yeah, no wonder why you're back being the fucking assistant for Andy Reid again. Next question. Give me your top and bottom 5 quarterbacks right now. Oh, shit. Off the top of my head. All right, let's put my thinking cap on. Let's start off at the top because I like positivity. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, fuck. Let's do Burrow 3. Jalen Hurts. And let's see. Lamar. I put Lamar at 5. I know people are going to get mad at me. How dare you don't have Lamar Jackson and a top 3 quarterback? Hey, man, he's a great athlete. I give him that, but he's hit and miss as far as throwing the football. I had some other options, maybe Justin Herbert or Dak Prescott, but one I think is overrated, and the other one gets just injury prone. I can't put Rodgers in it. I just can't do it right now. I can't. Is Rodgers top 10 right now? Probably. But I'm making my assessment of what I've seen so far this season. It's Mahomes, Allen Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. That's the top 5 for me. And I'm just being fair and objective from what I've seen so far. Bottom 5, oofa. Well, should I say it? Start off with the bottom 5. I'll go with Mr. Unlimited. Bronco Country. That's right. Russ is down there in the bottom 5 for me. I just gotta call a spade a spade. He's down there for me right now. I'm not gonna put Fields there. I just think it's unfair and it's not a really reflection of him. I can't call him a bottom quarterback. Let's see. Jared Goff. Davis Mills from Houston. You guys have any suggestions for me? It's hard to pick. There's a lot of football teams that I try to remember off the top of my head. It's still PJ Walker. Even though I like what I see for PJ Walker, I just think the situation is for him. So I'll put that there for starting quarterbacks right now. And then, Carson Wentz, a good pick. Jacoby Brissett, I'll throw that into the mix as well, even though he's had some good games here. It's a little inconsistent, I guess. Those are the ones that I would pick there, you know. We'll have to see how the rest of the season plays out. I won't lie to you. I'm a big NFL fan, and I do kind of appreciate that we do have an extra week for football left. I feel like these last couple of football seasons have been like speeding through like so fast. Like you blink your eye and oh shit, we got the playoffs next week. Matt Ryan, a fortunate situation. Hey, by the way, Frank White and Chris Ballard, I think you should give Mitch a shot. Why the fuck not? Anyways, I like that. I like that pick here. So I see that Matt Ryan. Okay, let's see what we got here. Which position on an NFL team do you value the most besides quarterback? For me personally, because I'm a defensive. Defense is my favorite style of football. I played defense in high school football when I played football. I think it's pass rusher. And watching the Steelers this year has really really realized the importance of that position. We had it with Mac. TJ Watt is the best pass rusher, I think, in the league, in my opinion, like outside linebacker. When you have a dominant pass rusher, it really sets the tone for your entire defense. And it's very few for our team to have like a dominant pass rusher that's that dominant where he can control the entire game just on his own work alone. His point of attack helps linebackers. It helps the secondary. That's just how it works. So I think for me, pass rusher is my most valued position outside quarterback. I know a lot of people would say maybe like a left tackle or something like that, but I think it's honestly for me, it's outside linebacker. Number 9 here, Phillies and Astros World Series. Who are you rooting for and who are you picking? I am going with the Phillies. I'm going to go with the Phillies. It's 6. It'd probably be a good back and forth series, but I have the Phillies winning, and I got Bryce Harper become the World Series MVP. By the way, as we're talking about baseball, I have to say this. LA Dodgers, I know you have money to the cows come home, and I know that you got more money than I will probably ever see in my lifetime. Who knows? Maybe I could maybe I could trump that thought. I'll get to that later on. I know you got money off the ass. I get it. Not even Aaron Judge is gonna bring you a championship. I'm sorry. You guys got eliminated in the playoffs by the fucking Padres, and Fernando Tatis Jr. wasn't even on the field because he was freaking suspended. Dodgers, you are getting very, very close to becoming the Lakers of your own league. And that's not a compliment if you look at the Lakers where they are right now in the NBA. This is not a compliment. I don't care how much money you got. You guys are not delivering in the playoffs. And that's a shame because Clayton Kershaw is a Hall of Famer. But he sucks in the playoffs. It doesn't matter who you bring. You can bring in Mookie Betts. You can bring in fucking Wilson Contreras. You can bring anybody in the league. Tim Anderson, any bunch of different players throughout the spectrum of baseball. And you could win 120 games every single year. But if you're not bringing in the World Series and the big trophy, what does it matter at the end of the day? I'm sorry. I need to get that Dodgers rant off my chest. I'm sorry. All right. Next question. Give me 3 wrestlers that you wish you could have watched their careers. Oh, like I could have seen them when they were wrestling. That's a good question. I wish I was more alive so I could see Ernie Ladd, Nick Bockwinkel. I know I've seen matches of them on the AWA, but as far as if I was like alive during that time period, it would be Ernie Ladd, Nick Bockwinkel, and that's a good question, man. Gino Hernandez, I never got to see his matches. I know he was very popular in the Von Erich's World Class Championship Wrestling era. I picked those 3 guys because I really been into like the territories and the history of professional wrestling, and those are the guys I've kind of come to appreciate over years. Just like listening to different podcasts and hear JR talk about them and watching Mid-South on the network and stuff like that. Like Ernie Ladd, Nick Bockwinkel, underrated heel, one of the greatest heels of all time, and definitely wanted to see Gino Hernandez because that was one of those guys that had a lot of potential, but unfortunately passed away way, way too young. So that would probably be the one for me, Sam, that I want to see out of those 3. That's a great question, man. How about this one? Is money the root of all evil or the key to happiness? I think money is the root in which you I can't say it's the root of evil because in a way you can look at money in the way that you earn what comes your way money-wise. And then there's other ways where you have money become like a demon inside of you. Like you live for nothing else but money. The only thing that matters to you is money, this, money, that. I see that. I grew up in situations where family members only think about money and nothing else matters. Is it the key to happiness? I don't think so, too. It's very hard. It's a very hard question to answer to be honest with you, Sam, for me, because, when I had the 2 jobs doing the transcripts and working at the tattoo shop, I was making maybe $3,500 a month, maybe during that time period. This is where I first started really making some money and working like 60 hours a week and stuff like that. Yeah, it was nice to have that nice sum of money. Now it's not like groundbreaking money or whatever, but I was making money. But for me, as much as I enjoyed the experience being at the tattoo shop, I found myself just not in a good place with my anxiety and mental health. I was like really stressed out, and that was really towards the tail end when I was still living in my original house, and I was not happy. Yeah, I was making money. I had the money that I could to pay off rent and stuff like that, but I wasn't really happy. Like I was going there. I had to deal with the bullshit and the process of not getting paid what I should have been at the place, and then having to come back home at like midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then do the transfers out old people that night, and then probably not go to sleep till like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then had to wake up at like 11 o'clock just to get ready to do it over and over again. And that was not a fun process for me. It really wasn't. Like, yeah, I was starting to make money, and I look at it in different ways. I think money is validating, but at the same time, it's not something that you should add all your energy towards too, because money doesn't define you. And that's the point I really want to make here. Like, yeah, I'm making money, but I know I'm making money because I earned it. Not that it was handed to me, and not that I went to do things just so I could have extra money here, extra money here. Like, money doesn't drive me at the end of the day. At the same time, I don't run away and scoff at the opportunity for the fact that, hey, I have an apartment here. I got my own living space because of the work I put into it. So I'm kind of like 50-50 in the question, because it's like I'm not driven by money, but I don't look down on money either. It's just that I'm not driven to the point where I put personal things and ethics and stuff like that to the side just for the sake of money. It could be both. It really could. It could be the root of evil. It could be the key to happiness too. But I think I'm just more cognizant of the fact that, hey, like the money I made over the last 2 or 3 years or so and working at the tattoo shop got me to where I am right now, where I can work from home and pay whatever I have to pay for rent each month and go on without my business, you know? And I'm more happy now making what I make for the transcripts and not having to go to the tattoo shop anymore, where I'm getting paid like $150 a week, and I'm paying like 20% of it or maybe 30% of it on travel, on Lyft rides and Uber rides just to get back to my house, where 30% of that check is getting taken away from me just so I can get there and back to my house, you know? And I don't drive. You know, I live here in Irving Park, or kind of like the Six Corners area. And for me, it just wasn't worth the time and money that I was spending on Uber rides to still be working at the tattoo shop. So I took a risk, and I'm doing pretty damn well. You know, I left the tattoo shop June of last year. And to see where I am right now here in 2022 in October, for this past year, just working on the transcripts and still having enough money to pay for rent each month, I'm fucking proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I'm happy. So I look at it, it's not a root of all evil. Sam, I'll say it's a necessary evil. But it's not something that's going to drive me to the end of the day, you know? That's just how I look at it. But that's just me. Let's go to the next question. How do you never become complacent with all the work that you do? That's the thing, man. Especially with this podcast, I don't want to come in here and just go through the motions and just give out a podcast just to give out a podcast. I would have stopped. I would stop doing this show a long time ago if that was the case. If I was just going through the motions and not caring about the content we're giving out to you, I really try to challenge myself to give you guys a better show each week and try to bring something different to the table. I know we have the same format each week, but the conversations are different. The questions that we get in this segment in particular are different. And it challenges me to make sure that I'm on top of my shit. I'm not complacent with my transcripts because that's my line of work, and it's a challenge in itself to make sure that I'm on top of my shit and that I can transcribe wrestling shows better than anybody could. And I'm studying different styles every single day. I cover about 17 wrestling shows a week. I can't be complacent because that's just not how I'm wired. I've never been complacent. I was never complacent when I was doing music in elementary and high school. I never got complacent. It's why I got accepted to Berkeley in high school. It's why I can work from home now and make my living covering wrestling shows because of that work ethic and not being satisfied. Now, I am goal-oriented, and there's stuff that I want to accomplish, and there's been like a internal plight in my head over the last couple of years that I've been wondering whether I should continue on doing like the podcasts or the transcripts. Do I want to go back into doing music? I've had those conversations with myself, and I've thought about it, but I can't be complacent. I just think I'd be doing wrong by you guys, for the people that supported my work since day one. And I think more important, I'd be letting myself down if I was complacent and just content with, okay, here you go. Here's Thursday. Here's another podcast. Here you go. Enjoy it. Go fuck yourself. You're like, I just never taken that approach. I believe in substance. I believe in what this podcast represents and what it means, since we've been doing this since 2016. And it's why I'm still doing it. You know, I let loose, man. I got really emotional and I got really vulnerable, and I was really getting choked up in that episode 300 because I felt that emotion there. I felt that conflict within myself. Like, okay, dude, I had times where I asked myself, like, hey, is this worth it? Should I continue doing this? Do people still care? Like, should I continue? Here we are, 300 episodes. Think about this. This podcast alone made it to 300 episodes. And here we are, 333 later, and we're still doing it. There's a purpose behind it. It's a mental release for me. I continue to do what I love from a broadcasting point of view. I feel like we bring something good to the table, and I believe in having conversations that have substance to it. And I think that's the charm of this podcast since day one. And I got really emotional on that episode, and I have no regrets of that because you saw that vulnerability for me. I was so overcome with the fact that we made it to this point, and I was realizing, like, why the fuck are you doubting yourself? Why are you doubting yourself? Why are you doubting what this podcast is to other people and what the value it brings to the entire wrestling industry? Look, whether this podcast or my transcripts get me an opportunity to work in the wrestling business, I don't know. I hope it does one day. I would hope I could earn that right to work in the industry. I don't look at it as like I'm excited. Oh, just because I've been covering wrestling for 10 years, oh, I deserve a spot to be in the wrestling business. I never looked at it that way. I never have, and I never will. But if a platform like this can provide an opportunity for myself to work in that field, it's something I've been wanting to do my entire life, then it's been worth it, you know? But also, I take as much stock into the fact that this podcast means a lot to a lot of people, and this shows a positive escape for a lot of people, and that the humor and the chemistry that myself and Brother Carter have on air, or the chemistry that me and Adam had on the show when we first started this back in 2016, it really meant a lot to a lot of people. And I take a lot of pride in that. I really do. Because there's a lot of podcasts with a lot of people that have like either stopped doing their shows or fractured off of that drama with other people and yada, 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 and doing reboots and all this shit. We kept going on through all that. Even when Adam stopped doing the show, I still love the guy. We're still brothers. Love him to this day. Regardless of whatever happens, this show continues on. And I'm fucking proud of that. I really am. More than anything, I'm proud of the fact that this show has remained on the air for as long as it's had, and it's still going because you guys give a shit. And even if I don't get the same amount of feedback like a show like Cheap Heat does, if our show's not like on the Ringer or on a big platform like SiriusXM, like Busted Open or Sam Roberts, okay, I can understand that. But that doesn't, I don't look at that in a bad way for me. Like I don't look at it in that way where it's a bad reflection of what the show is. I think this show brings as much importance and nuance and substance to this field as any of those other shows. And you can say I'm being cocky or arrogant with that. I don't care. I'm being honest because I know what the show has meant to a lot of people, and I know the amount of thought and effort that I brought into this show, that Bret Hart brought into this show, and what this show really means at the end of the day to a lot of people. And I'm fucking proud of that. I'm damn proud of that. I really am. I'm very proud of what we built into this thing that is called the Hoots podcast that we've been doing for the last 6 years. I really am. Nobody can take away the success that we have from this show. Like, we're almost up to like 600,000 plays and downloads on Anchor. That's fucking awesome, man. It really is. Have I had my days where I wonder, like, what it'd be like if we were on a bigger platform or blah, 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 blah? Sure. But I know damn well that the substance of this show is just as good as any of those shows that have 500,000 listeners every single week, a bunch of followers on Twitter, where these guys get invited to be on panels and do all this stuff with Blue Wire and all this stuff. Cool, great. They're funded by a bigger platform. This is an independent project that I started with Adam on our YouTube channel 6 years ago. And here we are still in 2022 kicking ass and not looking backwards. And I'm fucking proud of that. I can't be complacent because it's doing this show a disservice, and it's doing disservice to each and every single one of you who've taken the time to check out our work. It really means a lot to me. Let's go to the next question. What's your go-to quick snacks? Oh, man. I think for me, like, my favorite snacks are like Dots and Swedish Fish. I know it's a little different from other people, but for me, I like it simple. I like Dots and I like Swedish Fish. That's just me for me. Who taught you the most at IMS? Oh, man. Man, that's a great question. Man, who taught me the most at IMS? Fuck. Two people, man. Jonathan Hood and KG, man. I said it before, without Kevin Gray, I'm not here today. And without Jonathan Hood, I'm not here today. Those two taught me everything I know about this media business, how to carry yourself on air, bring the best out of you just naturally, and bring that to the air, what you know about behind the scenes about the business, and just professionalism and just, you know, how to carry yourself through good times and bad times. I learned the most from those two guys, man. I'm not here without KG. KG was the first one in that school that believed in me. To the point where I got to be a producer on the show. There was douchey people that were also a part of it, but, you know, you make the best out of it. And I got to be a producer on a show that was based on independent wrestling and women's wrestling during, beginning of 2013. Got to do my thing during that time period, but, you know, get to be Hoodie, and I consider him a big friend and a big mentor in my life, and, you know, one of my favorite Chicago sports radio people I call a friend. You know, like, you know, I haven't had a chance to really hang out or talk with Hoodie for a while, and it's kind of bumped me out recently. But I know he's always been a big supporter of my work, and I've always appreciated the friendship and the time that we had our own little thing on his show, and like our own little show, Hood and Lopez. And those two have meant a lot to me, honestly. Sucks that I can't put KG over anymore in person anymore because he's not here with us. God rest his soul. But him and Jay Hood are the reasons why you get the Joshie gets it, at least from the on-air point of view. And I'm not here without those guys. I'm not. So, question number 15. When's the next time we're going to shoot the shit? Well, that's the thing, my man. How you want to shoot the shit? Do you want to shoot the shit out here on the show, or you want to hang out in person? Because anybody that's here for the see is welcome to come by my house. But as far as this show is concerned, up to you, my man. Anytime. Thank you, Sam, for the great questions, man. You killed it as always. Make sure to follow Sam, by the way, on Twitter at Second State Sam. He's really one of the best people I know. I met Sam at IMS. He's a damn good brother, and I appreciate his brotherhood. All right. Let's go to the next questions here from Mike at Main Event Swerve down in Houston. He says, what is a concert or festival that you wish you attended but didn't go to for whatever reason? Mine was Summer Sanitarium with Metallica, Linkin Park, and Korn. Oh, damn. I was 16, and my mom was like, no. Wow. That's one hell of a concert to go check out. Metallica, Linkin Park, and Korn on the same day. Holy shit. Festival. That's a great question. I would have loved to go to like one of the like Lollapaloozas during the 90s. I think that would have been awesome. I know those like big concert festivals. I forget the name of it, but they do it in Brazil, Rio something. Like I always wanted to go to one of those. I've been to like a couple of like radio station based concert festivals, if you will, but that was like pop music, and I only went there for my sister because she needed company or whatever. But they had those at the Toyota Park that used to be the home of the Chicago Fire. Now they play at Soldier Field. But man, I would have loved to see certain bands, obviously, in different places. I remember I told a story here in the podcast that I missed out to see Linkin Park one time. That really, really bummed me out. I never got to see it before in person, and that's probably the main group that I never got to see besides Tom Petty. That I was like, fuck, I never really got to see those bands that I really wanted to. Excuse me. Number 2, you may have covered this before, but do you have any tattoos? If multiple, which is your favorite? Surprisingly, I don't. I don't have any tattoos. I thought about it. I worked at the tattoo shop for 4 years. It was a good experience, but not afraid of them. I just never got one. And honestly, I don't know really which one I want to start off with if I were to have a tattoo, Mike. But no, I don't have any tattoos to me. It's kind of crazy. Hey, here's a straight edge guy that's working at a tattoo shop, but he has no tattoos. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. Hey, man, I'm just me. I'm just me at the end of the day. All right, next question. What is your favorite reflective song just to get in your feels or think about life? Great question. Man. There's a lot of different songs. I think, especially when it comes to relationships, I think about "I Miss My Friend" by Daryl Worley, which is my favorite country song of all time. It's probably the most powerful song I ever listened to. When I want to like be in like good spirits and stuff like that, I pull up a Biggie song, whether it's "Hypnotized" or "Hypnotized" with Juicy. If I had, I said this before, but if I think about like if I had one song that's like a life motto for me, it's definitely "Sky's the Limit" by Biggie and 112. That's my personal song, and how I carry myself. If I need let's go. Stop feeling sorry for yourself type of song. It's like that. That's the one I always go to remind myself, like, hey man, you're here. You're here for a reason. You're here to do a lot of great things in life, affect a lot of people in a positive light. But also, we got even higher ceilings that we haven't even reached yet. And that's where my head's at right now. I'm taking things one day at a time. And for me, I look at "Sky's the Limit" because I still feel within myself the sky's the limit. I'm not 30. I turn 29 next year. Fuck, I got a lot ahead of me, man. I really do. And nothing's going to stop me. And I feel like we're barely scratching the surface of what we can see with this podcast or whatever myself and Bert are doing in our own separate fields. Life is good, man. And there's a lot to look forward to. Number 4. So I may have the flu. Sorry to hear about that, brother. But at least have a 101-degree fever now. What is your best approach to feeling better with that? I'm not a doctor. It's like the wrong person to ask this. Anytime it comes with an illness or anything like that, I always start with this. Those who are not watching this in the stream that I'm recording on now. Water, man. Non-stop water. That's my advice. I always go with water first. Water is the cure for everything. Would say I would call myself a waterholic, but I don't overdo it. But water's I always start with water because that's the best way to go. Water is the shower. That's the way to go. All right. Number 5, it says, you mentioned your writing assignment last week, so that reminded me, where were you when the Twin Towers fell on 9/11? I was starting my first day of first grade at Chopin. That was my first day. 7 years old. Remember it like it was yesterday. During those days, during that time period, I remember we would like wake up at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock at that time. And schools would start like around at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Now, my elementary school was like 2 blocks away from my house. So we used to like walk to that place. And it was just a different day, man. Got there. We saw the first plane go. We saw the live footage of the first plane, being on fire and everything. And then once the second plane came in, like I think I remember, if I'm not mistaken, my grandma picked me up. I think I might have the dates wrong, but I think my parents were gonna go out to Puerto Rico that weekend. They were still in the city. They were working that day, and I think they canceled their trip or whatever when that day went down. Yeah, it was nuts. it was something I'll never forget. It was my first day at first grade of elementary school, and I remember my grandma picking myself and my sister up, and we were spending the time at my grandma and grandpa's house, and they lived upstairs from us. We were living in their house. And yeah, that was a crazy time, man. Crazy to think that was 2022, 21 years ago. Crazy how fast time goes, guys. Let's go to the next question. There are shows that seem dumb, like South Park and Simpsons, but there's some really social media commentary there. So what is your favorite animated episode that poked fun at a real world issue? It's hard. Like I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't really watch a lot of the popular like shows like that. I can't recall episodes of South Park or The Simpsons. I have watched those, but it's hard for me. Like I can't really pinpoint like what incident that they address. Like I can tell you what shows I liked. I liked Family Guy. I was a big fan of that. I liked Beavis and Butthead when it was out. I dabbled in South Park here and there, but I can't really like pinpoint certain like tragedies or real life issues at that time, like because I didn't watch every single episode of South Park or The Simpsons or stuff like that. Like I seen The Simpsons movie, I watched a couple of South Parks here and there. I know the whole thing about the member berries. That was a funny thing that we had on one of our shows. That was a fun time, but yeah, like if I had to pick like my favorite animated comedy show, it's probably like Family Guy or Beavis and Butthead for me. Ooh, how about this one? What is your favorite guitar cover you have done and why? Great question. I think my favorite one that I did was Tequila Sunrise by the Eagles, because the Eagles are my favorite band, and that was a connection that I had with my grandpa. He taught me how to play guitar, and that was one of the first songs I learned how to play on the guitar. And to do that was a lot of fun, and I thought it came out pretty good, actually. So I'll go with Tequila Sunrise as my favorite guitar cover, by the way, which is a underrated wrestling move, if you will, especially tag team wrestling. Next question. Have you ever called a radio station and dedicated a song to someone? If not, what would be your dedication song? Oh, man. Whew. No, I've never called into a radio station to dedicate a song to anybody. I think it's kind of odd. Kind of odd as, like, a guy. This is a shoot. This is before I moved out here. I think it was like 2019 or something like that. I put the photo on my Facebook page. But, like, I think it's like 2019 or something like that. And I was walking home from getting lunch by one of the restaurants by my house. And I was coming home one day. It was like March, April. It's kind of cold in Chicago. You know, it's like, I don't know, 40, 50 degrees. And during that time period, I used to walk a lot. And I would, like, walk a lot, maybe get like a drink or something, and like go on without my business. But when that day it was a little different. I went to go have lunch, and I was coming back, and I was coming down the block, and there was a stuffed teddy bear on a tree standing placed across the window of a house. Now, I don't know what the situation was. I don't know what the dynamics was, but guys, can we stop with the sip shit, and can we stop buying these big ass teddy bears and all this fucking minutia for a girl that's gonna flake on you and, you know, just probably cheat on you 2 months later? Like, like, one, you're making an ass out of yourself, and two, it's just not a good look. Again, it's not a good look. Why are we going out of our way to put harm to ourselves by climbing up a tree and putting up a big ass teddy bear on a tree to try to impress a chick? Like, it. I know they had the movie with John Cusack, and he had the fucking stereo radio machine put over his head trying to impress the girl. I forgot the name of the movie, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, but why are we putting teddy bears on trees to try to impress chicks? Stop being a simp. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. If I had to, like, dedicate a song to somebody, jeez, that's a tough one to pick, man. I'd probably say "Give Me Love" by George Harrison. I would dedicate that to my nanny, because my nanny played a big role in my life. She was my mom's grandma, my great-grandma, nanny, Italian, half Puerto Rican, for those who don't know. My nanny played a big important role in my life, and how I say a lot of the good natures and good character traits that I got from myself is from her and my Wella as well. And for me, she was a choir director at our family's church, and she played a big role in my life. And one of the reasons why I wanted to play music for her was because of her music experience and stuff like that. And one of the biggest regrets in my life is never had the opportunity for her to see me play like at a full concert or something like that. That really bummed me out. So the reason why I picked "Give Me Love" is the song that I did at my Berkeley audition, and that performance was in dedication of her. And that'd probably be the one that I'd pick for her. I appreciate that question, Mike. I really do. So Justin Timberlake and Romeo Santos have a new collaboration on a song called "Sinfin," which is interesting, at least. What other surprise collaborations would you like to hear between artists? Good question. I would like to hear something with Halsey and Giveon. Now, I'm not really tapped in the modern like pop scene. I'll be honest with you. I'm not like it's no offense to the guys at BTS. I have no idea who they are. I don't listen to their music. I have absolutely no idea who they are. But no, if you could do something like Halsey and Giveon, I think that'd be pretty cool. Or Taylor Swift with Giveon, I think that'd be interesting. Like to see. I'm so out of the loop with the current artists today. The music today is not what it like. Popular terrestrial radio music is like not my thing anymore. Like if I could see something like Ed Sheeran and let's say I think Ed Sheeran and Kendrick Lamar can do a cool song together. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or if you want to do something country wise, I'd do something like Morgan Wallen and you can do a Morgan Wallen and fuck, this is a hard question, man. Yeah, do like let's have like a Morgan Wallen and Luke Bryan song. Like I think that'd be pretty interesting. Next question. What is your movie of the year so far for 2022? The only movie I've seen this year that came out this year so far is Elvis, so I would have to say the Elvis movie. Ooh, what is your song of the year across all genres released in 2022? Lost Me by Giveon. Pretty simple message, and I think those who listen to the podcast know why. Number 12, if the Bears got Eric Bieniemy or someone else really top ranked for OC, would that improve their fortune on offense? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people wonder why Eric Bieniemy hasn't become a head coach over the last 3 or 4 years. You always see his name being thrown out there. It's like, why isn't Eric Bieniemy like a head coach of the team or whatever? I'm not really. I think it's too early to say whether I'm in or out of Luke Getsy, to be honest with you. This is his first time being an offensive coordinator, and I can't say I'm impressed or not impressed, but I'm not at the point where I'm like, oh, this guy is useless or whatever. So maybe he could come in. Is that the offense that Eberflus wants to run? I don't know. But I think would that improve their fortunes on offense? It doesn't matter what the player caller is. You just need better talent in that group. It's pretty simple as that. Like, what is the last time you can look at a collective unit of Bears offensive players and be like, okay, that right there, that's the group that's going to be good, and that's the group that's going to be sustainable. I never saw that in my life. I never did. Next question. Also, 33 points in the game for the Bears. What made the difference in that game against the Patriots, and can it be repeated this season? I mean, it could. They had a good game against the Texans. Sorry to mention it. I just got to call it space state. It did happen. But I think that it could be replicated. It's the fact that they are consistent in their messaging and what they want to do. I think the next step now for the team can be repeated is if the defense could not only get the turnovers, but make those turnovers get to points. Like if it could have like a fumble recovery for a touchdown or a pick six or something like that, I think that'd be the next step. But it could. It's all about how things are going to be managed, who steps up as the season goes on, how this Justin progresses as the season goes on. I think it could happen. It's just the right matchup and then the right timing. I think that's the biggest thing. Are you surprised that Robert Quinn got traded and that Roquan Smith got so emotional when getting the trade news? Hard to watch. No, I wasn't surprised that Robert Quinn got traded. All I'm going to say about the Roquan thing is that, look, if you watch that clip, he was laughing about something. And I know that the media has their responsibility to ask hard questions and stuff like that, but Pat Finley, man, like, he let the guy finish laughing and, like, gather himself before, like, just asking that question just off the cuff like it's nothing. It was, like, so callous of the dude. Like, the guy's laughing like, oh, hey, Roquan, Robert Quinn got traded. Like, come on, man. I didn't think that was cool at all. Number 15, random thought. I subjected myself to the Tony Khan interview with Ariel Helwani. I feel sorry for you, my man. He says, I guess I'm a glutton for pain too. Anyway, why would you beat your chest about reuniting with Punky Vice, but then do so on Dark? Dark? That's like NXT reuniting on NXT Level Up. Brother, you're preaching to the choir, man. That's a great comp. Yeah. That's like Stone Cold popping up on Level Up, or fucking the Dudley Boys having a match on Elevation or something like that. Yeah, Rick Moranis is an interesting character, man. He is an interesting character. Number 16, educate me as I don't watch NXT UK much. He was impressive at Halloween Havoc, but who is Oral Mensah? Oral Mensah is Oliver Kata of the Carter, former NXT UK Tag Team Champion. Very talented guy, very athletic, confident but not arrogant type of character. He didn't really cut that much promos. He was in a tag team, like an undercard tag team with Ashton Smith. Smith and Carter, they had a good run at NXT UK. I'm happy for him that he's still in NXT and that he's doing his own thing now, and it's pretty cool. I thought he had a pretty good performance there at Halloween Havoc as well, like as you're mentioning. But for me, Oliver Carter was his name in NXT UK, and he had a really good run there, and he was a former NXT UK champion. Also, had a pretty damn good match with Trent Seven in that final NXT UK championship tournament that was going on. What was your match of the night at Halloween Havoc? For me, is the triple threat match. The triple threat match, the main event was my favorite match of the show. I know a lot of people are popping for the ladder match, which I thought was cool. And props to Wesley for becoming the North American champion. But for me, I was really, really into that triple threat match. That was fucking awesome, man. Braun Breaker retains. He's still your NXT champion. Him, Dragunov, and Devlin did a phenomenal job. That was an awesome, awesome match. Speaking of women, if there's one added to AJ in the club to take on Judgment Day, who would you think that'd be? Going back to what Chris asked me earlier, I'd probably say either Piper Niven, Alexa Bliss, or Asuka. Number 20, JBL is a strong mouthpiece for anyone, but do you think Baron Corbin needs one? No, Baron Corbin doesn't need a mouthpiece, but I'm not going to scoff at the idea of him and JBL working together. I think I like that. I like what they're doing so far with those two. I think it works for both of them, to be honest with you. That's a pairing that makes sense on television, as opposed to Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson when Arn Anderson was a rival of Dusty Rhodes back in the day in WCW. But anyways, we'll move on. Who else would you like to see from Raw or SmackDown be the next to work with the NXT talent in a storyline at the CWC? He says, keep it Uzi. Mike Rubio, I appreciate you, my man. Great question. We've had Ricochet pop up there. R-Truth fighting Grayson Waller on NXT on Tuesday. That should be interesting. As far as people are not doing anything as of now, I like to see Drew Gulak do some stuff on NXT. Like, why not? Let's see him have some stuff there, maybe you can have. Now, the Miz has made appearances, but has Miz really had a program in NXT? Probably not. There's a lot of people. You could say maybe have Sheamus come down there and have a match. AJ Styles has already been down there. The options are endless. I definitely say, maybe have Liv Morgan pop up on NXT. I think that'd be pretty cool. There's a lot to pick from, to be honest with you, Mike. And I kind of like the fact that they are allowed the people that you're not seeing on TV get out to do some stuff at NXT. Hell, bring Shelton Benjamin there and have him do his thing since everybody wants to see him being pushed again. Yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot, if you will. Good questions there, Mike. I appreciate you, brother, as always. Our last set of questions here come from Nate the Great at Psycho Nagiri. Here he is, the flesh. Here's what he says. WWE has all heel champions except Bianca, and AEW has all face champions except Jade. Do you mind or notice when it's one or the other? That's a good question. I only notice it when it comes to who is behind them and who's going after those titles in those sequences. At the end of the day, is it something that bothers me? No, because I don't think we all have our different philosophies and theories on what should and what should happen in wrestling, or this is the set of how I would handle titles and stuff like that. But, some people may be for having the champions be heels and have the babyface chase them. And then you have AEW where they placate to the marks and had the dirt sheet favorites be the champions. But honestly, here's the question I have for you, Nate, and everybody else that's watching this. And let's be honest, outside of MJF, who is a real true heel main event style in AEW? Don't give me the Jericho shit because you marks are still singing to his stupid ass song all the time. I'm not buying that. The old show thing and Ring of Honor has been a bunch of crap. Honestly, who's top level male heels in AEW? And outside of Britt Baker, who are top level heels in AEW for the women's division as well? Who are developed in that way, too, at the same time? It's not somebody that's from WWE. It's a problem. It really is. For me, I'm fine regardless of how the scales are in favor of heel or face or heel. You know what I'm talking about. But it's more important of who's going after those titles. Right now with Bianca, you have an established heel in Bayley going after her championship. But in AEW, you got Jade Cargill, who's the heel, trying to hijack shows. Oh my God, this was a Repug segment on Rampage last week. You have Jade Cargill out there, and she's threatening to hijack the show because another heel in Nyla Rose, who's given 5 or 6 different chances to win championships, she stole the TBS title as if anybody gives a shit. So, it's hard to answer that, Nate, because I don't care what the scales are as far as if my champions are all heels or faces. It's more important to talk about the landscape of the rosters within those companies. That's the bigger issue there. But that's a good question, though. I'm glad you asked that. All right. Do you like horror movies? If so, what's your favorite? No, I do not like horror movies. If I had to pick one, I'll just go with one of the Scream ones from the 90s because Courtney Cox was hot. Early hopes for Wrestle Kingdom. I just hope we have just a loaded lineup. I just don't want 6 tag matches in the undercard and then 4 interesting mid card title matches. I want New Japan to switch it up with the cards once in a while. I get it for these underneath shows like at Cork and Hall. We need tag match after tag match after tag match. This is Wrestle Kingdom. Do something different. This is your biggest show of the year. Why would we need 5 tag team matches at Wrestle Kingdom? Nobody wants to watch Yujiro Takahashi and Dick Togo or Yoshinobu Kamaro. Sorry, Tony. But, nobody wants to see those guys. What helps you... Here's the last question for the podcast this week. What helps you stay focused when you're stressed? Oh, That's a great question. Well, what helps me keep focused while I'm stressed is music and knowing what I'm going for and what I'm after and what I want to accomplish that I haven't yet, that's still in front of me. And just taking things one day at a time. That's how I handle it. I always say, it's okay to express frustration and anger within. Like, understand, like, we all have our bad days. My thing that I tell people is that don't let that consume you and overwhelm you and just control the way you go about your decision making, because I think a lot of us make mistakes over the fact that we just let shit fester inside instead of confronting our issues, and that's just not a good reflection in our decision making and how we carry ourselves and stuff like that. So I think for me, when I'm stressed and I'm feeling bummed out or whatever, I start listening to music and going to things that put me in a better mood. And I have to remind myself all the time if I start like doubting myself or I'm stressed, is that there's a quote that our principal in high school, Eric Thomas at Ronner, said. Eric Thomas was the principal at Ronner when I first go in there, and the quote was, "The work will be hard, but the work will be worth it." And as cheesy and corny as that is, I kept true with that from the school, and it is worth it. So I know there's a lot of good things ahead of me, and I'm just taking things one day at a time. There's a lot of stuff to be accomplished, and I'm just taking things one day at a time. That's all we have control over, and that's how I go about it when I'm feeling stressed. So Chris, Nate, Mike, and Sam, thank you guys so much for an awesome set of questions this week. It really means a lot to me. I'm glad we had some productive and open conversations, and I was able to be vulnerable with you guys today and have some real life conversations, and that's the charm of this Back Porch Q&A session. So with that being said, everybody, thank you guys so much for participating in this week's Back Porch Q&A session. As always, if you'd like to hit us up and be part of the segment, all you have to do is send me a question beforehand at the Hoots Podcast at Twitter or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. Now, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the main event. Yes, it's time to give the people what they want, what they need, what they salivate for. Another brand new restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. We're going to start this bad boy off in a 3, a 2, a 1.
Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living it. My time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. This is going to be a dandy, man. I don't have any articles, unfortunately, to read for you this week, thank God. I don't think my sanity could handle the fucking variety article that we had to sift through last week. And I feel bad that I had to put Brother Carter through that. It's later fashion. But honestly, I just want to say again, thank you for everybody for hanging out with us, as always, for appreciating what we do with the Hoots Podcast. It really means a lot to me. And I thank you guys so much for hanging out. And thank you for support for this segment, as always. I throw the offer out there. If you ever want to send an audio submission for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW and you want to partake in the best segment in all professional wrestling podcasting, please do us a favor and send us an email clip to the hootspodcast@gmail.com. The hootspodcast@gmail.com. We'll play it on the show, and you can be part of it with myself and Bert Carter. And this segment really deserves an award. It really does. I figured we should start off hot, right? Start off with the bridges, because honestly, it's really not much to talk about with Dynamite. There really isn't. There never is much to talk about when it comes to AEW Dynamite. But I want to give a shout out to Brother Carter, because he sent me this clip of Jim Cornette and Brian Last going over the roster of AEW. And they had got to towards Kenny Omega. And last night we saw this strange, interesting is not in a complimentary way, in my point of view, video package on the Elites as far as their whereabouts. So before you know it, the Harley Boys and Kenny Olivier will be gracious with their presence again on TBS. And this sparked a conversation with Jim Cornette and Brian Last. And here's Jim Cornette's assessment of Kenny Olivier. I think you guys will enjoy this.
Executive Vice President Kenny Omega.
Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
I think you would try to get some value out of him.
No, I wouldn't, because here's the thing. I am disgusted by the motherfucker's existence in the wrestling industry, that this guy can do the things he's done in front of witnesses and still call himself a professional wrestler and have people like the demented Uncle Dave and the Alzheimer's for Lunch bunch say, oh, he's the greatest wrestler in the world. He should have had his legs broken and been left in a ditch for what he did to the wrestling business in front of paying customers. And I will never forgive that. And I wouldn't hire that fucking guy for a wrestling company and reward him by calling him a professional wrestler after the activities he's been involved in. If you dipped him in glue and drug him through Fort Knox and he came out covered in $7 million in gold, I wouldn't give him 15 fucking cents. Also, as I've mentioned, every time he opens that fucking pie hole of his and starts spouting off, I have come to the conclusion that even if I hadn't seen him wrestle a fucking 6-year-old girl or a blow-up sex doll or dressed as a goddamn I Dream of Jeannie or sticking his fingers up other guys' asses in wrestling matches, I would still dislike the motherfucker and not want to spend 5 minutes in the same room with him, because I can tell that we are completely, maybe even more than me and Shitstain, completely opposite human beings. And I don't see why anybody would want to associate with Twinkle Toes. And so therefore, I don't care if he can beat the reanimated corpse of Lou Thez. He does not deserve to be rewarded for his indiscretions by being called a professional wrestler. Fuck Kenny Omega.
Oh, man. One of a kind. Jim Cornette, man. As we usually do with these segments, I like to talk about the stuff I did like and didn't like on this Dynamite. I do want to mention this really quick. AEW Dark Elevation is fucking horrible, man. It is, man. I don't know what's worse. Aubrey Edwards' attempt at being a referee or these goddamn YouTube shows that I gotta type out each week. I bet you GCW puts on more entertaining shows than what I had to sit through in AEW Dark and Elevation. I feel like if I was in jail, AEW Dark and Elevations were the only wrestling shows I would be allowed to watch. I'm being honest. That's how bad this show is. I would rather sit in my jail cell and look at drywall all day than type out a 14-match card on a Tuesday night for AEW Dark. It's horrible. It's not good. Just like a lot of shit in this company. Well, let's try to be positive here. Let's start off with the good stuff here. I enjoyed the match. I'm surprised this is the first Chris Jericho match I liked in a while. The opening match with Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Useless. I thought this was a fine match. Wasn't bothered by it. It wasn't annoying. For the in-ring action, I'll get into the other stuff that was annoying about it in a couple of seconds, but I thought that was fine. No complaints, no bueno, no problem. I thought it was fine. Also on the program, I liked the match with Jon Moxley and Pentagon. I thought it was a good match, but again, did anybody care? And did it feel like a world title match? There's more to that when I get to the bad stuff. And then lastly, and we're going to play this for you guys. Here is my favorite part of Dynamite this week, and always the best part of anything revolving AEW. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, MJF, with the beautiful and sexy, and I mean sexy, Renee Paquette.
We got any devil worshippers in the house tonight? Now, Ravish and Renee, a beautiful woman, all the disgusting pores watching at home would love to lay. What do you got for me?
MJF, tonight Jon Moxley is putting his AEW World Championship on the line against Penta. Should he retain, you will be facing Jon for the title at Full Gear. How do you feel ahead of a match that monumental?
How do I feel about wrestling Jon Moxley? Do you mind if I borrow this real quick? You guys mean this guy? MJF at Full Gear. I'm gonna mash your bones, man. I'm gonna drink your blood. I'm gonna gargle your piss. Cause I'm Jon freaking Moxley. That guy, is that who we're talking about?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, listen, Renee and Virginia, I love you, baby, first of all. Let's just talk about that real quick. With all due respect, for all your shortcomings, too. With all due respect, and I do mean with all due respect, when I think of Jonathan, only one word comes to mind, and that word, it's got 3 letters, and it starts with an M, and that word is mid. And I do mean with all due respect, when I think of Jonathan, only one word comes to mind, and that word, it's got 3 letters, and it starts with an M, and that word is mid.
Max, you can't just say with all due respect and then say something insulting like that.
Renee, with all due respect, shut your mouth. Listen. Last week, when I said I was going to earn it, I meant every single word. However, I might have got a teensy-weensy bit out of control there when I said I was going to wrestle the whole match clean. Okay, let's just talk about it. Listen, I meant like relatively clean. Okay, Virginia? What? I'm still MJF. Let's get real for a second. But there was one thing that really got under my skin, and it was when that disgusting, flea-infested elderly rat, William Regal, decided, yeah, he does suck, decided to tell me that he didn't use his brass knuckles because he needed to, he used them because he wanted to. Alluding to the fact, Virginia, that I can't beat his boy Jon Moxley without my Dynamite diamond ring. What do you guys think of that, huh? Yeah, I think it's bold too. So you know what? I'm going to make a promise here tonight for one night and one night only at Full Gear when I go for the grandest prize of them all. I promise I will not use my Dynamite diamond ring. Because, Will, I don't need it. The only thing I've ever needed to be a success in my life is a grudge, and trust me, I'm chock full of them. See, I've taken every grudge, Virginia, and I've mashed it down into a chip, and I have put it directly on my shoulder. And come November 19th in my backyard, the metropolitan area, Newark, New Jersey, I ain't fighting Regal, I ain't fighting Moxley, I ain't fighting Penta, no, I am fighting every single sorry scumbag And I am going to take this heavy chip off my shoulder and shove it down each and every single one of their throats when I become your new AEW champion of the world.
One of a kind, man. He is the best thing on that show every single week, and it's not close. Yeah, MJF is the national treasure. I love that guy. He's fucking awesome. All right. I guess it's time to get into the shit. What you guys have been waiting for. I'm going to ask you a question for those who are watching and listening to this. Did you give two shits about anything that went on Dynamite last night? Just a straight up question. Did you care about anything that went down on Dynamite last night? Because I didn't. It was just a show. I tapped out. It was a show with really, really, really long wrestling matches for matches that weren't worthy of having the time that was given to certain matches. Now, again, the wrestling has never been an issue per se. There's exceptions to the rules, unless we're talking about a Young Bucks match or a Kenny Olivier match. But not gonna go off on a tangent here. But the wrestling is not the issue with AEW. It's the way we get into these matches, and it's the cap and the bullshit that spews out of this commentary team. It's the storytelling. It's the flow of the show. It's the fucking god-awful way we got out of the first commercial break when we came back with the January 6th appreciators and they can't get the backstage mics working. It's embarrassing, man. Hey, you basically got the new boss in AEW since Tony Khan can't figure shit out and figure things out for his company on his own. You got the boss there, Chris Jericho, being made to look like an amateur. That was not a good look. And like I mentioned before, I thought the opening match was fine. I know a lot of people were popping for the FTR and Swerve In Our Glory match, but it's not a knock towards Keith and Swerve because I'm a fan of both guys and I think they're good people. They're great performers for what they do. But their tag team is mid, just like MJF said. And I promised Mike, as we were talking earlier today before I started recording the show, that I have a new song that I wanted to debut for you guys this week. And as far as the Swerve In Our Glory tag team is concerned, and now that they won this number one contender match, it was so fucking stupid in the first place. You basically tell your audience again that the power rankings that you share on Twitter every week and that these win and loss records that you keep track of, because again, wins and losses matter in AEW, right, Taz? They frankly tell you that it don't mean shit. It's when it's to their convenience of when they want to have somebody be spotlighted because of their win-loss record. So, FTR is the number one contenders for 5 or 6 months, but they need to be in the number one contenders match with Swerve In Our Glory when they just lost to the Acclaim at Grand Slam. It makes no sense. But okay, here we are. You know, Keith Lee looked good. The match was fine for what it was. FTR is great. I love their work. But I was not emotionally invested because this match was fucking stupid in the first place. I basically knew when the Acclaim and the Gun Club were out there, I knew right there that Swerve and Keith Lee were going to win. And I'm watching this match, and all I feel inside is that Swerve In Our Glory are mid. So we have these chants of FTR. You hear all the chants in wrestling, right? 5 forever, blah, 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 blah. You got the Keith Lee, oh, bask in his glory. Like, oh, bask in the glory. And I got a new one for you guys. Oh, Swerve In Our Mid. 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 Mid! The tag team division, mid. World title scene, mid. Commentary team, below mid. I can't even call them mid. They're below mid. Excrement says on the show last night, oh, it's very rare you get AEW World title matches on TBS. Very frequently, as opposed to the last 2 weeks. Bullshit! If you want to go back even to the fall, with this whole interim world title shit and CM Punk getting the title and having to vacate and all that, like, for the last 5 or 6 months, you have world title matches on AEW Dynamite or Rampage every other week. What are you talking about? It's very rare we get world title matches on AEW Dynamite. Who are you kidding? There's a world title match every other week. If anything, the AEW world title is more look like as the World TV title, and the Ring of Honor World Championship looks more like the AEW World title than the AEW World title, which is ding, ding, ding. How fitting is that? Again, Jon Moxley feels like the second level champion in AEW to Chris Jericho, who's holding the Ring of Honor title for a company that has no TV deal. But Josh, you gotta have the title on Chris Jericho. Advertisers and sponsors are gonna cling on to Ring of Honor. All due respect to Chris Jericho, I respect the guy. But his body of work over the last couple years has been complete shit. Yeah, it's acceptable and revolutionary to the echo chamber because it has the letters AEW attached to it and it's not produced by Vince McMahon, but I'm not blind to that shit. They are. They see anything that's not produced by Vince McMahon, oh, this is great, this is awesome. No, everything Chris Jericho's been doing since the fucking Inner Circle has been complete and utter dog shit. All of it. I'm not falling for debate here. This revolutionary, fountain of youth that Tony Khan talked about last week about Chris Jericho founding the fountain of youth. It's a whole bunch of cap. All of it cap. Riho, Jamie Hayter, shoulder shrug. Bryan Danielson, a.k.a. Bobby Fish with more speed against Sammy Guevara. Didn't care. Let's look at this lineup for Rampage coming up tomorrow at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Wardlow against Matt Taven for the TNT title. Whoopity-doo. Madison Rayne against Ty Mello. The Blackpool Cuckold Club against 2.0. By the way, the Blackpool Comic Club beat Jericho and Garcia clean on Dynamite last night. So now they have to fight 2.0? Like, what? Oh my god, man. AEW, man, you are something else. Let's talk about this, too, because this has been a topic. We'll wrap it up here with this. I know this has been discussed. I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on this, and I have my thoughts on this too because I am a CM Punk fan at the end of the day. There's been scuttlebutt and reports about what's going on with the lawsuit. We'll see if Punk come back. There's conversations about whether he should get bought out or the whole thing with the non-compete clause. All that drama going on right now. There's something that came out yesterday about Larry, his dog, getting his teeth getting affected or knocked out during the brawl at All Out. And a lot of the questions keep going back to like, should we bring CM Punk back to WWE? Should CM Punk come back to AEW? Should the Young Bucks come back? Should the Elite come back? And my question is, if they do and they don't, is it really going to change anything? Does it matter if they come back or not? Because you're still drawing the same audience. You're still drawing the same amount of people attending your shows. And the same people that are marking out for your shows are the same people marking out your shows now on Twitter. Same people marking out for the beginning of the shows. And now, here we are, 3 years later, still marking out for the same shit. We gotta sit here and look at the show with a straight face as Orange Cassidy is presented as the main eventer. As I'm really supposed to believe this shit. The Santino Marella of AEW is paraded around as a main eventer caliber guy in AEW. Orange Cassidy against Phoenix and Luchasaurus for the AEW All Mid Championship next week. Woohoo! I'm really excited for that, guys. So, okay, let's say CM Punk comes back and you have this match with Kenny Omega. If CM Punk comes back, is he really going to do anything? Is he still going to draw more than what he did when he first came in? I mentioned this last week, or when we had the big conversation about CM Punk. But at the end of the day, you had the biggest opportunity to capitalize on the idea, the hysteria, the aura of CM Punk coming back to professional wrestling. He comes back to AEW. You have a special moment at the United Center. And what did he do after that? Here we are a year later. He's not in the company. He's suspended right now. And you're talking about a buyout. I don't care what metrics Brandon Thurston or Conrad or Seltzer want to put up on Twitter to act like CM Punk is not a draw. That's not the problem. Yeah, CM Punk is a draw to a certain metric of the fan base. And I'm saying that as CM Punk's biggest fan. But the issue with CM Punk is not whether or not he was a draw for AEW. The issue is what the money in business could have been and should have been when he came to AEW. That's the problem. They dropped the ball. Yeah, he drew money to a minuscule effect for AEW records, but compared to this company who wants to run WWE out of business, right? Like, CM Punk was like, okay, we get CM Punk, we're in for competition. I heard people say, when CM Punk comes into AEW, they're going to have the same ratings as Raw, this and that, they're going to beat them in the double, all the shit. And none of it happened. They dropped the ball. Yeah, CM Punk was a draw, but that's not a compliment for AEW, because look at what happened. Now he's about to lead the company. And you dropped the biggest opportunity you could have had in professional wrestling. What happened with CM Punk in AEW is worse of WCW fumbling the bag with Bret Hart when he came into WWE, came into WCW after the screw job. That cannot be debated. That cannot be debated. This went not even a year of him showing up to the company, and he is out a year later. The biggest opportunity in wrestling to capitalize on the return of CM Punk, with all these wrestling fans, all these metrics of all these disgruntled WWE fans, for what? 1.1 million viewers? Diminishing return on buy rates on All Out on pay-per-view? What does that say? The dirt sheet people in the echo chamber don't have all the answers. They may want you to believe that's the case, but that's not the case. And that, my friends, is what the hell is wrong with the AEW this week.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. I want to send big congratulations to brother Carter and his family with his brother Scott getting married this weekend. I want to send a big shout out to Scott. And hopefully we get brother Carter back next week. But if not, we'll keep plugging along here. But I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with us. And this was a fun episode. I want to thank Chris, Mike, Nate, and Sam for the awesome questions this week. And I hope this podcast, this episode was productive and thoughtful. And hopefully you gained something positive from it. And I'd like to remind everybody to be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love you guys. I'm Joshie. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast, at Josh Lopez Media on Instagram. Make sure to follow Bert Carter as well at Derek Stoughton on Twitter and DerekStoughton.com. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTransfusions.com. If you could, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Press the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop to you every single Thursday. And we'll get to... appreciate the support on that end as well. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what? Stitcher, what? Breaker, what? iHeart Radio, what? Overcast, what? All those platforms. Just type in Hoots Podcast, subscribe to the podcast. Let us know what you think about the show. And love to see your feedback on social media this weekend. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. So, for everybody, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 333 of the Hoots Podcast. Next week will be our big preview prediction show for WWE Crown Royal. Go Bears! Talk to y'all later next week. Love you guys. Peace.